History is supposed to be this logical chain of events. Wars have causes, leaders make choices, civilizations rise and fall because of big, obvious reasons. But every now and then, history throws in a plot twist so strange, so perfectly timed, that it feels less like reality and more like a badly written Netflix drama. We're not talking about small coincidences like running into your neighbor at the grocery store. No, these are the kinds of coincidences that make you question whether time is on shuffle mode or if the universe is secretly trolling us. Let's dive into the weirdest, funniest, and most mind-blowing coincidences in human history. 1. The Titanic novel that predicted disaster. In 1898, author Morgan Robertson wrote a novella called Futility. The story was about an unsinkable ocean liner called the Titan. It was massive, luxurious, and, oh yeah, ended up sinking after hitting an iceberg. Sound familiar? It should. 14 years later, in 1912, the Titanic set sail with the exact same overconfidence and promptly met the exact same fate. Both ships were nearly the same size, carried about the same number of passengers, and both didn't have enough lifeboats. Robertson didn't just foreshadow the disaster, he basically wrote a rough draft. Imagine writing fan fiction about a disaster, only for reality to publish the sequel. It's like someone in 2001 writing a short story about two towers collapsing in New York, and then, well, you get the idea. Either Robertson was clairvoyant, or the universe loves spoilers. 2. Lincoln and Kennedy. The creepiest presidential parallels. Okay, this one is famous, but still deserves a spot. Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, two U.S. presidents assassinated a century apart, share a laundry list of eerie coincidences. Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846, Kennedy in 1946. Lincoln became president in 1860, Kennedy in 1960. Both were succeeded by a guy named Johnson. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy, and Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were shot in the head on a Friday, in the presence of their wives. Both assassins were known by three names: John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald. At some point, it stops feeling like coincidence and more like history is recycling scripts. It's the kind of pattern that makes conspiracy theorists do backflips. Meanwhile, historians shrug and say, yeah, numbers can be weird sometimes. But admit it, if a future president named Ken Abraham gets elected in 2060, we're all hiding under the bed. 3. The sandwich that started World War I, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, is the event that sparked World War I, but here's the absurd detail: it almost didn't happen until a sandwich got involved. The Archduke's motorcade took a wrong turn and stopped in front of a cafe, right where one of the failed assassins, Gavrilo Princip, was sulking after a botched attempt earlier that day. Princip stepped outside, sandwich in hand, and boom! Suddenly the Archduke is right in front of him. He took the shot, and the rest is bloody history. Imagine if Princip had ordered takeout instead of dining in, or if the Archduke's driver had used Google Maps. No World War, no trenches, no millions dead, all because of a sandwich. It's proof that history can pivot on the dumbest details. Forget, for want of a nail, the kingdom was lost. Try, for want of a different lunch, millions lived. 4. Mark Twain and Halley's Comet. Mark Twain was born in 1835. The year Halley's Comet passed by Earth. In 1909, Twain declared, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it." Guess what? He died in 1910, the day after the comet's closest approach. Imagine the audacity of calling your own exit with cosmic precision. It's like saying, yeah, I'll die when the next iPhone drops, and then Apple actually releases the iPhone doom. Twain, ever the showman, didn't just live with a bang. He timed his life like it was a Broadway finale. 5. The identical twin lives. In Ohio, two identical twins were separated at birth and adopted by different families. Neither knew the other existed. Decades later, they finally reunited and discovered their lives were creepily identical. Both were named James, both had wives named Linda, both divorced Linda and married women named Betty, both had sons named James Allen, both worked in security jobs, both drove the same kind of car. At this point, it doesn't feel like a coincidence. It feels like some lazy screenwriter just copy-pasted the character bio. It's also a nightmare scenario for anyone who believes they're unique. Imagine bumping into someone who literally lived your life, but with fewer typos. 6. The Hoover Dam curse. Building the Hoover Dam was one of America's greatest engineering feats, but it came with eerie bookends. The first worker to die during its construction was J.G. Tierney in 1922. The last worker to die in 1935 was his son, Patrick Tierney. Father and son, first and last. It sounds like a Shakespearean tragedy, except with hard hats. It makes you wonder, did fate really line things up this neatly, or Are we just obsessed with packaging history into poetic arcs? Either way, the Tierneys became unwilling mascots for one of America's strangest coincidences. 7. Napoleon and Hitler in Russia. In 1812, Napoleon invaded Russia. Disaster. His army froze, starved, and limped home defeated. In 1941, Hitler invaded Russia. Disaster. His army froze, starved, and limped home defeated. The two invasions happened 129 years apart, both starting in June, both collapsing as the brutal Russian winter set in. The parallels are so exact it feels like Russia itself is cursed, or just really, really good at winter. Modern comparison? It's like watching two people touch the same hot stove, a century apart and still acting surprised when they get burned. Lesson: don't mess with Russia in winter. Seriously, just don't. 8. The Simpsons predictions. It's almost cliche to say The Simpsons predicted the future, but the list is too long to ignore. Donald Trump's presidency, smartwatches, Disney buying Fox, Higgs boson calculations, even video chat. The writers insist it's just educated guessing and satire, but at this point, the coincidences are stacking up like psychic bingo. Imagine binging a cartoon for laughs, only to realize you're also being handed tomorrow's newspaper. If Nostradamus wore yellow and loved donuts, he'd live in Springfield. 9. Violet Jessup, unsinkable survivor. Meet Violet Jessup, a nurse and ship stewardess who survived 3 of the most infamous shipwrecks in history. She was on the Titanic when it sank in 1912. Survived. She was on the Britannic, Titanic's sister ship, when it sank in 1916. Survived. She was also on the Olympic when it collided with another ship. Survived. Her nickname became Miss Unsinkable. Imagine having that on your resume. Skills, customer service, tea pouring, surviving maritime disasters. If Jessup ever invited you on a cruise, the correct answer was always no. 10. Edgar Allan Poe's time-traveling tale. In 1838, Edgar Allan Poe published The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. In it, shipwrecked sailors resort to cannibalism, drawing lots to see who will be eaten. The unlucky character was named Richard Parker. Decades later, in 1884, a real shipwreck happened. The stranded survivors killed and ate a cabin boy. His name? Richard Parker. It's almost too specific to be coincidence. Either Poe had a time machine or reality has a dark sense of humor. 11. The 27 Club, rock stars gone too soon. From Jimi Hendrix to Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain to Amy Winehouse, so many legendary musicians died at exactly age 27 that it feels less like tragedy and more like some cosmic club no one wanted membership to. The odds? Astronomically creepy. Imagine Spotify recommending you a playlist called Legends Who Won't Make It Past 27 right before your birthday. Yeah, no thanks. 12. The Curse of the Tippecanoe, aka Tecumseh's Curse. Starting with President William Henry Harrison in 1840, nearly every U.S. president elected in a year ending in 0 died in office. Lincoln, 1860, Garfield, 1880, McKinley, 1900, FDR, 1940, JFK, 1960, until Ronald Reagan broke the curse in 1980. It's like America had a presidential glitch in the Matrix every 20 years. Imagine if your iPhone calendar app secretly scheduled your doom every decade. Spooky update no one would install. 13. The doppelganger death coincidence. In the 1900s, Finland, a man was killed after being struck by a car. 2 hours later, his identical twin, who lived miles away and had no idea what had happened, was killed in the exact same spot, also by a car. The driver? The same one from the first accident. If fate had a dark sense of humor, this was it. Imagine your Uber driver accidentally double booking your demise. Now that's a scheduling conflict. Outro. So what do we make of all this? Are these just random alignments, the kind you get when billions of events overlap in history? Or are they hints of something stranger, a cosmic prankster arranging Easter eggs for us to find centuries later? Whatever the truth, coincidences remind us that history isn't always logical. Sometimes it's absurd, poetic, and hilariously scripted. The past isn't just a record of what happened. It's also the universe whispering, "You won't believe this one." So next time something weird happens in your life, like meeting your doppelganger at Starbucks, or your cat predicting your breakup, don't dismiss it. History is full of coincidences that turned out to be unforgettable. Yours just hasn't made the textbooks yet.